Hi, and welcome to this section on protecting your assets. Security on AWS is a shared responsibility between AWS and the customer. AWS is responsible for physical security, such as access to the data centers, and for providing secure endpoints for interacting with AWS services. But securing your data and applications are your responsibility. Data must be secured not only when it is stored, but also when it is moved from one system to another. Applications provide a possible avenue for hackers to gain access to our data and systems. So in this section, we're going to cover protecting your data when it is moving in and out of AWS services and storing it securely. Then we'll cover ways of protecting your applications and discovering vulnerabilities. Communications with AWS services, whether from your data center or VPC, often takes place over the internet. So data must be protected in transit against accidental disclosure, modification, or attacks such as man in the middle. So in this video, we're going to describe some available options to secure data when transferring it to and from AWS services. For communications between your data center and VPCs, we will discuss two options: hardware VPNs and direct connect. For securely transferring data in bulk, we will introduce Snowball. And finally, we'll cover securely putting and retrieving data into AWS storage services using encrypted endpoints. IPSec stands for Internet Protocol Security and is a protocol that extends the IP protocol stack to include the authentication and encryption of data packets sent over a network. AWS supports establishing IPSec tunnels from your data center to VPCs. It requires that you attach a virtual private gateway to your VPC using the Management Console, CLI, or CloudFormation template. In your data center, you need to install a customer gateway. A list of tested compatible customer gateway devices can be found in the FAQs section of the VPC documentation. In your VPC, you will need to add routes in your subnet route tables to define the path to your data center via the virtual private gateway. However, this isn't necessary if you use a device for your customer gateway that supports dynamic routing, known as BGP, that will automatically advertise its routes to the virtual private gateway. The hardware VPN approach sends your data over the internet, but Direct Connect instead provides a dedicated fiber optic connection from your data center to a Direct Connect facility where a customer router is installed for you and cross-connected to an AWS router attached to an AWS region. Once this connection is made, you log into the Management Console and create VLAN connections to one or more VPCs through the virtual private gateway attachments and to public service endpoints such as DynamoDB and S3. The major security advantage is that at no time does your data traverse the internet. This is a private connection, and you could choose a full 10 gigabit per second or 1 gigabit per second connection speed. Transferring tens or hundreds of terabytes of data to AWS may take weeks or more over a network. When you have that volume of data, it makes sense to use a Snowball. This is a physical device that AWS sends you. You connect it to your network, load your data via a client that encrypts it, and then send the device back to AWS. They load your data into an S3 bucket and erase the device. The whole process takes a few days. Each device holds up to 80 terabytes of data, but you can order several of these at once. Your data is kept secure through encryption, tamper and weather-resistant enclosures, and a trusted platform module that detects tampering. Many of the AWS Service API endpoints offer a choice of HTTP or HTTPS connection protocols. Be sure to always use the HTTPS endpoints when transferring data, so it will be encrypted. If you use the AWS command line interface, it will use SSL by default. To make sure your data does not get modified in transit, you should calculate an MD5 hash of your data and add it to the put object request. The AWS S3 service will automatically check the hash value you send it with the one they calculate to make sure that the data did not change in transit. You should also save the hash value in a custom metadata field as shown below. When you download the object, simply recalculate the MD5 hash and make sure it matches the one you saved in the metadata. In this video, we covered encrypting your data in transit over a network using hardware VPNs and Direct Connect. We also discussed using Snowball for securely transferring data in bulk and using encrypted service endpoints for putting and retrieving data to and from AWS services.